Welcome to the first episode of Restore Fix. Today we're off to Chester to collect a Renault 1916 valve Chamade. It's a late phase 2 car, 1994, so getting towards the end of the production run. The story with this car is it was taken off the road around 20 years ago due to an immobiliser fault and potentially injector fault. As many of you will know, these cars were not particularly rare at one point in time, but sadly nowadays practically extinct, all scrapped and gone. Hence why we've decided this one is worth saving if it can be saved. I've owned a lot of these cars over the last 20 years, also the Clio 1.8 16 valve model. I always was confident that they were very underrated against the competition at the time, and it's a shame that they're not more respected and more people restoring them out there. Although they have seen a big increase in value in the last few years, it seems they're finally starting to get appreciated and get the money they justify. So here we are finally arriving on site to collect the car. Luckily the gentleman we're purchasing this car off is an enthusiast, so I believe everything he's told me. He seems trustworthy and he's happy it's not going to sit in a yard for another 20 years. He's happy it's going to another fellow enthusiast and it's going to get restored. Initial inspection of the car we're doing here. It's actually better than we thought. Very original, quite surprising. I was getting excited at this point and very enthusiastic about the car because I've not seen one this clean and original for a long time. Looking at that bonnet lower lip there, a lot of you will know that used to disintegrate on these cars, and this one's in immaculate condition. Again, going around the car we noticed the rear arches, which is another common spot on the Chamades. Immaculate condition, no signs of any rust or rot whatsoever. Here I am looking through some paperwork in the car. He gave me the wrong paperwork at first, that's from McGann. The original Renault 19 paperwork was all in there, the original folder, the service history, etc. Keen to get it loaded up and get it back to the workshop. Obviously the car was a non-runner, so here we are pulling it out of its resting place in order to get it closer to the recovery truck so we can load it easier. Flat tyres and everything, but it still drove, it still turned and steered alright. Amazingly the brakes weren't all stuck on, which I was expecting them to be. Definitely binding, but not stuck on solid. This guy did have some very interesting cars knocking around as well. Probably will be going back paying him a visit. Getting the truck ready to put the car on. Obviously we're going to have to use the winch to pull it onto the truck. It was a particularly freezing cold day that day. We were all kind of in a rush to hurry up and get going. But at the same time, it was interesting to talk about all these cars knocking around. Use the winch to pull it on quickly. Car went on nice and smoothly, no problems. Nice and light car by today's standards, really. Just trying to get it nice and straight on the truck, nice and even. Get it strapped up and get it on the way home. Obviously when we get back we'll give it a better going over. Only quickly, but we'll give it a better going over. Slight glimpse of the underside of the car there. All the full original exhaust system on there. Looking a little bit rusty, but the fact that it still exists is rare. Just hoping this car isn't going to require months of welding underneath. It's alright, doesn't appear it will, but you never know. All done, ready to go. Here we are having a quick look at some of the other cars that we're knocking around. 1.8 RSI, 8 valve. Very rare left-hand drive Renault 25 V6 Turbo. I actually own a right-hand drive one of these that's awaiting restoration for in the future. Very rare cars. Deal done, ready to go. Me smiling away, very happy there. Drive home. The drive seemed to go quicker on the way home than it did on the way there. A few people interested in the car on the way home, a few faces. Surprising how much interest these old cars get nowadays. Seems to matter what it is. If it's late 80s, 90s cars now, the early 90s, sorry, they just seem to get a lot of interest. You don't see them on the roads anymore, do you? So they're a rare sight. Obviously a lot of people remember them, used to have them, so they're quite surprised when they see one. Of the Renault 19 first came out in 1990, I believe. The Phase 1 version. 1992 they brought this model out, the facelifted version, and it stayed the same until the end of production in around 1995. The last versions I think were executives, although I think the standard version was still available. All very rare now either way. I always preferred the Chamade version over the hatchback. Personal preference, of course. I think the Chamade versions are actually rarer than hatchbacks nowadays. Here we are arriving back home, back at my yard. Car off quickly and have a look at what we've got. Obviously we've got a bit more time now to go over it. Slightly stuck brakes. Cameraman had to come out and help. see, the previous owners had the injectors out under the bonnet there. I'm confident there's probably nothing wrong with them, but I will get them refurbished anyway. Not seen much use for a long time, but it does look very original. Every clip, every screw, every bolt, all seem correct. Somebody's been messing with the fuel pump there in the boot. Sadly, they seem to have cut an extra hole in the floor to try and get access to the fuel pump. Something else that'll have to be put right. Nice original interior, all correct. Obviously needs a good clean, but very original. All seems to me like it'll come back very nice in here. Light strip there will have to be replaced. That'll be fun, trying to find one of those. Dent in the door, looks like it'll push out. There's the original paperwork I talked about earlier. There's the ECU case. So all parts are here.